Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be looking at the Pentateuch's ancient Mesopotamian roots. Specifically, we'll be comparing the Yahwist creation with the Epic of Gilgamesh, which we've covered. Gilgamesh embodies the saying, "Live life to the fullest." However, Tzvi Abush, an established scholar of ancient Near Eastern texts, proposes the story is instead about confronting fear, not solely the fear of death. The story is 1,000 years old. Translations and interpretations vary, so in your essays you can argue either way. Now, if you guys remember back to Friday's lecture, you might realize that there are some similarities between the Epic of Gilgamesh and this creation story. Can anyone think of any? Yes, here in the front. There's the flower of immortality and then the tree of good and evil. Yep, I see what you're going for there. Yes. Enkidu has an awakening through a sexual experience, and so do Adam and Eve. We can definitely argue that Adam and Eve's was sexual, yep. They both have a serpent. Yep, one more. They both involve immortality? Yes. So we're able to come up with a lot of similarities between the two stories. Now, this isn't just a coincidence. The authors of the Pentateuch actually drew from these preceding texts of the ancient Near East. You can see how the flood narrative lines up with Atrahasis, Enuma Elish with the priestly creation, and Gilgamesh with the Yahwist creation. But there are also some notable differences or changes made when the stories were rewritten. Digging a little deeper into some of those similarities we just listed, there was the serpent, the tree of life, and the theme of immortality, which all interrelated. In Gilgamesh, the serpent steals the plant of eternal life. The connection here lies in the fact that snakes shed their skin, and so in a way they're eternally young. And so because we can't shed our skin, all humans must die. This use of symbolism reinforces the overall message of mortality. In Genesis, the snake is instead associated with the tree of knowledge of good and evil. This change was made in the hopes that Israel would focus instead on good and evil as opposed to eternal life. And then there was the awakening. A quote from Christine Hayes. "Through this sexual experience, Enkidu has become wise, growing in mental and spiritual stature, and he is said to have become like a god. At the same time, there's been a concomitant loss of innocence. His harmonious unity with nature is broken. He clothes himself, and his old friends the gazelles run from him now." Hayes, 2008. Basically, his sexual experience awakened Enkidu from his naive state, and something similar happened with Adam and Eve. After they ate the forbidden fruit, disobeying God, they became aware of their nakedness as they hid from God in the Garden of Eden, and were later punished for their sin. This plays into the shift towards good and evil that we see with the serpent and also the plant. Yes? Why did they make these changes? Thanks for asking, I was just getting to that. During this period, Israel was in exile, and so their culture and religion were under threat. The Judeans decided to fight for their survival as a people. They chose to fight not with spears or swords, but by writing a book. This quote exposes the Israelite author's motivation. They were trying to safeguard their culture and not that of ancient Mesopotamia, and so they bent the powerful motives of Gilgamesh and many other stories to more effectively promote their own culture.